Class 9th. In this video we will discuss about a brief political history of Cholas. Main objectives: the Chola rulers, Raja Raja the Great, Rajendra Chola. The Chola administration. Introduction: central government, provincial government, local self-government, the revenue, public works and irrigation projects, and military organization. Before the discussion of topic, we must know the following terms like Perantram, high officials like cabinet minister in the parliament, Serantram, lower officials like deputy ministers in the parliament, Mandalams, provinces, principal administrative division of empire, Kotams, further division of province is called Kotam. Nadus, further division of Kotam is called Nadus like districts. Kurams, further division of the district called Kurams or Tehsil. Panchayat, administrative unit at village level. Autonomous, having the right or power of self-government. Salaries, fixed regular payment paid to workers or employees, mostly on monthly basis. Natar, an assembly which decides the cases at district level. Nagatar, assembly which looked after the trade and commerce, or assembly which discussed and solved the problems at village level. Infantry, soldiers who fight on foot. Cavalry, part of army which fought on horses in the past. Naval fleet, group of ships or boats sailed together. Island, a piece of land surrounded by water from all sides. Dissension, strong disagreement. Subdued, depressed. Political history of the Cholas. Chola ruler Vijayalaya established Chola rule in Tamil Nadu. The capital of Chola ruler was Thanjavur during the middle of the 9th century, that is period from 846 to 871 CE. His grandson, King Parantaka I, occupied a large chunk of the Pandya territory and waged successful wars against the Ceylon. Presently we call Ceylon Sri Lanka. Beside Parantaka I, other great Chola ruler was Raja Raja the Great from 985 to 1014 CE and Rajendra Chola and Raja Dhiraj Chola. Now we will discuss about Raja Raja the Great and Rajendra Chola. Now let's come to the reading part. A brief political history of the Cholas. The Chola rulers. Chola ruler Vijayalaya established Chola rule in Tamil Nadu with Thanjavur as his capital during the middle of the 19th century, that is from 846 to 871 CE. His grandson King Parantaka I occupied a large chunk of the Pandya territory and waged successful wars against Ceylon. Ceylon was the old name of Sri Lanka. Besides Parantaka I, other great Chola rulers were Raja Raja the Great 985 to 1014 CE, Rajendra Chola 1014 to 1044 CE, and Raja Dhiraj Chola 1044 to 1052 CE, etc. It means Chola ruler Vijayalaya established the Chola rule in Tamil Nadu with its capital Thanjavur during the middle of the 19th century. King Parantaka I is considered the real founder of the Chola Empire. He defeated the Pallavas and occupied the part of territory which belonged to another ruling dynasty, the Pandyas. Also invaded Ceylon. The period of King Parantaka I is from 907 to 946 CE. In the 11th century AD, the Chola power reached the height of its glory. Raja Raja I and his son Rajendra Chola were the two prominent rulers of this dynasty. Now let's discuss about Raja Raja the Great. Raja Raja the Great, he is regarded as the most illustrious ruler of the Chola dynasty. He was a brilliant general and campaigned in many directions. He ended the internal dissensions in his dynasty and destroyed the naval fleet of the Chiras and subdued the Pandyas' revolts. He built the Rajeshwara temple of Lord Shiva at Thanjavur. On the walls of the temple, he inscribed his achievements. He built a powerful naval fleet to conquer the islands of Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, and the Arabian Sea, as well as to maintain the trade relation with East Indies. Now let's come to the reading part. Raja Raja the Great. He is regarded as the greatest and the most illustrious ruler of the Chola dynasty. He ended internal dissensions in his dynasty, destroyed the naval fleet of Chiras, and subdued the Pandyas' revolts, whose territories he annexed in his own empire. Annex means to take control and possess the territory. He also occupied a large part of Travancore, Mysore, and Coorg. He also defeated the Chalukyas of Vengi, as well as the ruler of Kalinga in the north and the ruler of Ceylon in the south. In the north, he annexed the northwest part of Ganga. He built the Rajeshwara temple of Lord Shiva at Tanjavur. On the walls of this temple, he also inscribed the main achievements of Raja Raja I. It means Raja Raja I was a brilliant general and campaigned in many directions. He attacked the kingdom of Pandyas and Chiras as well as the parts of Mysore. Raja Raja annexed parts of Deccan and overran the Vengi. He did this in order to prove the strength of Chola power. He took some territories of Mysore, Travancore, and Coorg. The coast of Kerala, Ceylon, presently we call it as Sri Lanka, and the Maldives Islands had become rich through the money that come to them from the overseas trade. Moreover, he built the Rajeshwara temple of Lord Shiva. On the walls of this temple and inscribed the main works of Raja Raja I. Under his rule, the Cholas became the paramount power. Paramount power means supreme power in the south. Trade brought prosperity to the Chola Mandal. The name Coromandel is derived from Chola Mandal. He built a powerful naval fleet to conquer the islands in the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea, as well as to maintain the trade relation with the East Indies. It is for all these achievements that is he is known as a Raja Raja the Great. It means Raja Raja was aware of the importance of controlling the sea. He decided to show his strength along the coast of South India, so he took out a naval expedition and attacked both Sri Lanka and Maldives Islands. He conquered the northern half of Sri Lanka. Under his rule, the Cholas became the supreme power of the southern India. For such achievements, he was known as Raja Raja the Great. Now we will discuss about Rajendra Chola. Rajendra Chola was also a great ruler. He was very brave like his father Raja Raja I. He completed the work of building like a strong empire which was started by his father. He was not only a great conqueror but he also a successful administrator and a patron of the art and literature. Now let's come to the reading part. Rajendra Chola. Like his father, Rajendra Chola was also a great ruler. He carried his arms right up to the central India and defeated the ruler of Gondwana. Like his father, he too was a brave warrior. He completed the work of building a strong empire which his father had begun. He vanquished the Gangas and the Pallavas. Marching from the capital, he reached central India and the rulers of Gondwana were forced to submit to his arms. He also waged wars against the rulers of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. Like his father, he also maintained a strong navy and defeated the rulers of Andaman, Nicobar, and Malaya Islands. It means Rajendra Chola succeeded his father Raja Raja I. He continued his father's policies. He invaded and annexed the whole island of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was not able to free herself from Chola control from another 50 years. Rajendra's campaign were daring once his armies marched up to the east coast of India through the Odisha and up to the Ganga river. Rajendra Chola himself led the army up to the Godavari and thereafter his generals took charge of the army. The Chola army defeated the king of Bengal. Rajendra Chola was not only the great conqueror but also a successful administrator and a patron of art and literature. He built his new capital, which he named the Gandai Konda Cholapuram, and built several beautiful temples there. He also built 16 miles long embankment around the artificial lake built near the new town. It means Rajendra Chola was not only the great conqueror, but he also a successful administrator and patron of art and literature. Rajendra Chola's campaigns were always daring. He maintained the strong navy and defeated the rulers of Andaman, Nicobar, and Malaya Island. To commemorate this victory, he adopted the title of Gandai Konda and built a new capital called Gandai Konda Cholapuram. Moreover, he built magnificent palaces and beautiful temples at his new capital Gandai Konda Cholapuram. He also made a wide wall built of stones around an artificial lake which is built near his town. We'll discuss about the Chola administration. The Chola administration was highly efficient and well organized. The important features of the Chola administrations were as follows. The administration was in the form of central government, the provincial government, local self government, the revenue, public works and irrigation projects, military organization. These all are the features of the Chola administration. The king was the central authority in the Chola administration. He was also the head of administrative machinery. The central government looked after external defense, internal peace and order, promotion of general prosperity, cultural progress of people. To carry on the administration efficiently and properly, the Chola kingdom was divided into the six provinces called mandalams. Now let's come to the reading part. The Chola administration. The Chola administration was highly efficient and well organized. Its important features were as follows. The central government. The king was the central authority in the Chola administration. He was also the head of the administrative machinery. He carried on the administration with the help of ministers and other officers. Higher officials were called Perantram and lower officials Serantram. The king was always prepared to provide relief to the people. The central government looked after the external defense, internal peace and order, promotions of the general prosperity and cultural progress of the people. It means Chola system of administration was highly organized and efficient. King was the absolute power of administration and all the authorities rested in his hands. In the central government, the king was the most important person in the Chola administration as all the authorities was vested in him. He had council of ministers to advise him. The high officials in the kingdom of king, they were known as the Perantram and the lower officials were known as Serantram. The officers were paid by giving them the assignments in revenue bearing lands. The prince were associated with the ruling sovereign and actively employed in the peace and war. The central government looked after the external defense, internal peace and order, promotion of general prosperity and cultural progress of the empire. The provincial government to carry on the administration efficiently and properly. The Chola kingdom was divided into the six provinces called mandalams, which were governed by the governors chosen from among the members of the royal family. The provinces were divided into the divisions called kotams, and divisions into the districts were known as nadus. The districts were further divided into the tehsils or kurams, comprising a group of villages. It means the Chola Empire was divided into the mandalams or provinces. These were further divided into the nadus. Districts were further divided into the tehsils, comprising a group of villages. Princes of the royal family were appointed to govern the provinces. Local self government. The Chola rulers allowed sufficiently freedom to their local units, like villages and the kurams, which were administered by the panchayats whose members were elected by the people. The local units were generally autonomous in respect of income and expenditure and of the police administration. They also enjoyed freedom in the judicial matters. It means Cholas were good administrators. They believed in the local self-government. In many of the villages, the administration was carried out not only by the government officials but by the villagers themselves. These villages had three types of the village assemblies, namely the Ur, the Sabha, and the Nagaram. Moreover, local units were generally autonomous, means independent in respect of income and expenditure. They also have their judicial system where they enjoy freedom in the judicial matters. The revenue. Land revenue was the main source of income. It was fixed at one third of the produce. Land revenue was the main source of income and it was fixed at the one third of the produce, means 33% of the production was taken as a tax. Merchants paid taxes on profit earned from trade. Most of the revenue was spent on the administration, payments of the salaries, maintenance of army, on public works. It means the revenue of the Chola kingdom came from the taxes on land and the produce of the land and tax on trade. Part of the revenue was kept for the king, the rest was used for the public works such as building of the roads and tanks, on salaries of the officials, on paying for unkeeping the army, and on the buildings of temples, etc. The Chola administration was based on democratic principles. There were four kinds of the popular assemblies in the kingdom which carried on the business of the government. The first assembly, which was known as the Natar, decided all cases in the district. The second assembly, called Nagartar, looked after the trade and commerce and took steps for the promotion of trade. The third assembly, called the Ur, discussed the solve the problems at the village level. The fourth assembly was called the Sabha, which confined its activities in solving the problem of Brahmanas. Members of these assemblies were elected. Some of the functions of these assemblies were collection of revenue and taxes, carrying out public works such as irrigation, local administration, and settling disputes. It means Chola administration was democratic in nature. There were four kinds of the popular assemblies in the kingdom, which carried on the business of the government, like Natar, Nagatar, Ur, and Sabha. And these assemblies were performing the different functions at different levels. Assembly, which decides all the cases in the district, is called Natar. The second assembly is called Nagatar, which look after the trade and commerce and took steps for the promotion of trade. The third assembly called which discuss and solve the problems at the village level. The Sabha, which confined its activities in solving the problems of Brahmanas. Moreover, members of these assemblies were elected and they were assigned the different functions like collection of revenue and taxes, carrying out the public works such as irrigation, local administration, and settling disputes. Public works and irrigation projects. The Chola rulers has established a public works department which were responsible for the construction of roads, new cities, temples, etc., as well as for the construction of dams, tanks, lakes, and canals. For irrigation, they had dug numerous tanks and canals. It means Chola rulers has established the PWD department, means Public Works Department, which was responsible for construction of roads, new cities, temples. Moreover, they were constructing the dams, tanks for irrigation purposes. Military organization. To protect the extent of their vast empire, the Chola rulers kept a strong army which consisted of infantry, cavalry, elephant, and navy. The Cholas had built a strong naval fleet which helped them in making the conquest in Malaya and other islands in the Indian Ocean and to carry on the trade with Ceylon, East Indies, Persia, etc. Cholas had the strong army to protect the extent of their vast empire. Moreover, Cholas were also having the strong naval fleet which helped them in conquering the many islands and carry out their trade with other countries. Then with this, our lesson is over and you will have to reread this part, learn the basic terms, related question answers and kindly follow the SNAP homework. Thank you.